Hi, this is Eric Martin with BoardGameGeek. I'm here with Andrew Wolf from USAopoly.
Hi.
We'll be talking about Star Trek Panic, which is sort of a combination of Castle Panic along with the Star Trek universe.
Yep, that's basically exactly what it is.
Okay.
So I'll give you a
we're
really
done.
quick. Huh?
Oh.
You know it.
Yeah.
No. So really quick backstory. We started working with Fireside about a year and a half ago. We approached them with the idea of licensing the Panic engine and applying it to Star Trek was really our first idea out of the gate. We thought it just made a lot of sense pairing up that license with their gameplay mechanics.
Right.
They were really excited about it. They wanted to grow the Panic brand. We knew we were going to be working with Star Trek this year because it's the 50th anniversary of the original series. So that's kind of where it started about a year and a half ago, and here we are now. So Justin DeWitt, the designer of Castle Panic, did most of the initial concepting and design, and then he handed it off to us to sort of do the development and finishing and all the artwork.
Right. Because we're using licensed resources.
Yes. Exactly. So in USAopoly, we'll be doing the production and distribution, all the sales, but we're going to be partnering really closely with them for marketing efforts and stuff like that.
Right.
So we're all really excited about this great new property that
it seems like a natural fit, too.
Exactly.
I mean, it's kind of remarkable when you sit this down and you're like, oh, of course. It's the Enterprise we're protecting with our shields and in terms of oncoming threats, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, and the gameplay being cooperative, feels like we're all members of the crew. Everyone gets to take a crew roll card, so you could be Kirk, I could be Chekhov, somebody else could be Sulu or whatnot. Everybody gets a special power that lets you break the rules of Panic a little bit. And we all work together as the crew to protect the Enterprise, keep the threats at bay. But while also, one of the new interesting wrinkles about Star Trek Panic is that gameplay isn't simply about surviving, but now we have to go and accomplish missions. So we have this mission timer card and a stack of about 20 different missions, each of which has its own specific parameters for setup and objectives. So, and they're all referencing episodes from the original series. So, Day of the Dove was an episode where the Enterprise had to cease hostilities with Klingons to convince them not to be so warlike. The Enemy Within, where there's a transporter accident and the crew members get split and they have to find a way to bring them back together. There's a mission for Space Seed, so the Khan episode, Trouble with Tribbles, all the classic episodes sort of represented as missions in the game. Each of which has its own specific objectives that you have to accomplish. Some of them will require you to spend some of your cards, which have credits on them. So this one says you have to have 1 command credit, and 2 science credits, an engineering credit, 2 medical credits to accomplish this mission. If you can accomplish 5 missions in time, you win the game, 5-year mission. But all that while, you still have to deal with all the threats on the board. So there's sort of a 2-pronged attack to the game. You got to worry about accomplishing missions, but you also have to deal with the sort of traditional Panic gameplay of threats entering the board, trying to get on board the ship, trying to blow up your ship. So this looks pretty familiar to anybody who's played a game of Panic. Threats start on the outer ring, and each turn they advance. If they can get into the ship, they're going to cause damage and wreak a lot of havoc. If you lose all 6 sections of the ship, you lose the game. So we took the idea of the Castle Panic model with the walls and the towers and replaced that with shields. So these are your walls. Obviously, they're going to protect the Enterprise. And the Enterprise itself, this little sort of papercraft model, is your towers. So each section is a section of the hull. You have your left front, right front, and rear, and then the nacelles and stuff like that. And each section can take damage before it's destroyed. So everything, basically, you have a half-strength shield. It's been weakened. If it takes another hit, it's destroyed. You pull it back off. And the whole section can take damage, little markers. And if it takes another hit, it's destroyed. And we add these indicators to the appropriate spots, representing the destruction of the ship. It goes like right there. And if you get all 6 of these indicators on your ship, the ship's been destroyed, it's lost, you lose the game. Fortunately, there are ways to repair your ship, so you can rebuild your walls and your towers with dilithium and tritanium. You get combinations. Dilithium repowers your shields, tritanium rebuilds the hull. You can combine them, you can rebuild a section. So the repairs and rebuild. Chekhov, as the engineer, can make repairs for free. That's his special power. So there's a lot of really fun gameplay here between the elements of just the traditional Panic gameplay of keeping the threats at bay as they're advancing on your ship, plus the missions that you have to work on accomplishing together in order to survive and win the game.
Okay. All right. Thanks very much for the overview.
Absolutely.
It seems like such a natural when you actually start putting this together.
Yeah, that was one of the things that we found was really appealing, was that the gameplay for Panic just really fit very naturally with Star Trek and the cooperative nature. We're all working together to keep the Enterprise flying and keep the ship from falling apart, and working on going on these different away missions to foster that message of peace and prosperity for the Federation. All the while, you've got Klingons and Romulans, Tholians, and all the classic enemies from the original series trying to thwart your efforts.
Right. Yeah. I don't know. And it just brings up different thoughts too. People complain sometimes, this is lightly themed, or this is just sort of slapped together, and this and that. But it's more that you can have these core elements of a game that can be applied in all different settings. It is possible to take something and sort of transform, what originally existed to something else.
Right, yeah, we really like how this is very highly thematic. We approached it from, okay, we've got the base Panic gameplay model, but how do we make it as immersive for the Star Trek universe as possible?
Right.
And again, there was just a natural pairing. It wasn't that hard to pair up the Star Trek license with the Panic engine.
Right.
It happened very naturally, organically, and I think that's why it's going to be a lot of fun for everyone.
Okay. That's good. Thanks very much for the
Absolutely.
overview. And here I am like...